Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 10th day of May 2022. And of course, this morning, the developments that occurred yesterday, the exiting of Maendeleo Chapchap, the party that is led by Dr. Alfred Mutua. And we'll be speaking about this. Herman Manyora, what is your take about this development and what does it mean for Azimio la Umoja coalition that had, I think, 26 parties, if I'm not mistaken, but 2 already now intending to quit, leaving 24. What do you make of all what is happening within that movement?
You know, we are in a political season. It's like in football, that transfer window, when it is open, people move from... We are even yet to see bigger things happening. So this is normal in politics. At a time like this, people will come into some coalition, some alliances, they will leave, and so on and so forth. But what is important, actually, is that our leaders sometimes behave in a manner either to suggest they think Kenyans have porridge instead of brains. What excuses are these people like Mutua giving? If you go into a coalition like that, surely, and you append your signature, it is assumed you know what is there. Unless you are announcing to the world that the people are stupid, or you yourself are stupid. Because if you would, you know, legal documents, there is even that idea of initialing every page so that someone doesn't sneak out one page and insert in another one. That's common practice now. So if you suspect that what you signed is not what is there, there's a law in this country that will compel the registrar of political parties to produce that document. There's a law. You go to court. And because it is current under certificate of urgency, that should be sorted out. She will be compelled to bring. And then that issue will be sorted. So these are just games. But you ask me, what could be the consequences? Anytime you lose a partner in an election, certainly that is some votes gone. But as to the real impact, Mutua is a politician of little consequence. I doubt that anything will be felt within Kenya Kwanza and within Azimio. Because he's a lightweight in politics at the national level. He really doesn't cause any harm. If I was Azimio, I would be worried if Kalonzo left. But if you look at the Ukambani politics, and my friend is here, I don't think if Kalonzo remains within Azimio and the Mutua leaves, anything will be felt. I very much doubt. So I don't think there's any serious consequence to that.
And for you, Honorable Mbui, Senator, you're laughing. Honorable Mbui, what do you make of this, the departure of Maendeleo Chapchap? Is this symptomatic of any challenges that are within that movement that are not being resolved?
Yeah, I think maybe you've just hit the nail on the head. Because there's been a lot of complaints within the Azimio members. And it started a while back because these have been, you remember, even when we joined in, there was issues of even the name itself. I was the issue, I remember, when we were arguing whether it is Azimio la Umoja or it is Azimio la Umoja One Kenya. And within the coalition, there are those that were still, disputing that the One Kenya is part and parcel of Azimio. So I think what has happened is that there's been a lot of emotional turmoil with some of the members of Azimio. But I would want to say that political decisions should not be emotional. They should be not about the heart, but it should be logical decisions. I listened to my governor and the things he said. And typical, when he talks about funding, I mean, that is so personal. Because there is no money that is being given to any party for campaigns. We've been campaigning for Azimio. We've been all over the place. We've been all the way. We've done a tour from Nairobi, Mlolongo, through Makueni, all the way to Mombasa. We are going to Taita and we are going to Kwale within this week. So, excuse me, there is no point at which we've been given any money. But we are running these campaigns because we are part of this coalition. So I think when you hear Mutua says that he's leaving because of funding, that already is a very personal thing. Then secondly says, because we haven't agreed on what happens after the elections. I mean, Kenya Kwanza have continuously told us that they are not discussing issues about positions. So when he tells us that he's leaving because they have not agreed, and he was very categorical that they've not agreed what is on the table for him. And then he goes to Kenya Kwanza, which the leader has always consistently said, as we are not discussing positions, we are just discussing saving the Kenyans. And he goes there and says that this is now the better side. I mean, that is speaking, it's double speak. And surely, let me say that when you look at all the people that have moved from our team, and I want to start from One Kenya Alliance, because we were with Ford Kenya, we were with ANC, we were with Tujibebe, all these people are with us along the way. And then they left us and moved to Kenya Kwanza. But if you listen to all of them, before they moved, they were the biggest critics of the theatrics and the things that are happening within Kenya Kwanza. They were the biggest critics of the leadership of Kenya Kwanza. So I always ask myself, what suddenly changed? What suddenly changed? How is it that overnight Mutua is now seeing that the DP is the one who can give, is an angel, and yesterday he was a demon? What has happened? So I think, Sam, for me, I think what you asked about what is happening in Azimio, I think we are mismanaging ourselves, and that is why we are losing people, because these people are being seduced maybe in a much better way than is happening within Azimio. I think the Azimio leadership needs to sit very frequently and discuss these matters. Because I want to imagine, even though I agree with Herman that Governor Mutua has very little impact in Lower Eastern, if my party leader remains in Azimio and Mutua leaves, the community still remains solidly in Azimio la Umoja. So I think he has very little impact when he goes, because especially when he goes and it's not talking about the community, it's talking about himself. So, but then even losing him wasn't right, because we should have blocked that by ensuring that every member of this coalition is given their time and their space to be able to express themselves and to be able to be heard. Okay.
And Governor Alfred Mutua now joins us via way of phone, has been listening to what has been going on here in studio. Good morning, Governor. And a few things have been said, including that your movement to Kenya Kwanza is, I don't know how to say that without misquoting, but sort of suggesting that it is inconsequential in terms of how it impacts on the Azimio la Umoja. But also, secondly, that you say there was no funding, there were no activities. Do you have information that other partner parties were getting support in this?
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you. I'm glad to be here to actually clear up some of these rumors and people. Number one is, it is good to operate with respect when it comes to matters that have to do with political competition. The first thing is, if it was inconsequential, why are you discussing me? If my move was not that important, it has no consequences at all to Lower East and even to the people of Kenya, why are you discussing me? Why am I a topic of discussion? Topic of discussion. And that is number one. Because if it was not, then the topic would be about something else. Talking about Mutua for 30 seconds, and then you're able to move on to something else. Number two, there's the issue of funding. The funding is not personal funding. It's funding for campaign. I cannot, we are saying as a party, we want to be able to campaign. And we have found that we've been campaigning for Azimio using our own funds and our own organizations. As Azimio, we know they have funds because they are running rallies, others are running rallies. So some teams are being funded to hold rallies, and then the rest of us are expected to use our own funds for Azimio rallies. We're not talking about our own money. We're talking about rallies for Azimio, to be able to convert people, and we know there's money for that funding. Because if there's no money for Azimio rallies and Azimio competition, then what is Azimio doing grinding for the presidency and running for seats? We know there's money. We are saying is, let's have the funding ready so that people can go around, and they've been able to do that. Number three, it's about Kenya Kwanza. There was the issue asking about that all of a sudden, overnight, Ruto became a good man. He was a demon yesterday. This is politics. It was just the other day when Uhuru Kenyatta was calling Raila Odinga, Kemodo, a demon. He was calling Raila Odinga a demon. all these people who are now with Raila Odinga were calling him, a terrorist. They were calling him all manner of names. Now they are supporting him. So politics is about interest, and it's about interest of communities, and it's about interest and respect. We have not moved away from Azimio because we disrespect Raila Odinga. We've moved where we feel that our interests, political interests, will be catered for. For example, I run a party called Maendeleo Chap Chap Party. I'm a member of Maendeleo Chap Chap Party. As a founder and a member, I have aspirants who are from all over the country. And this thing of zoning is meant to finish small parties. In the last election, for parliamentary seats from Lamu, Baringo Yakati, from Tana River and Mwala. I have over 40 MPs. The zoning plan that they have cooked, and they cooked that initial document that went to a press conference with Sakibwana and others, and they called an emergency meeting, was meant to say Wiper will be in charge of all the lower eastern. So Maendeleo Chap Chap cannot have any candidates. ODM will be in charge of certain sections of the answer. So Maendeleo Chap Chap cannot have candidates. What does that mean? It means that as a party, we'll have no seats. Number one. Number two, we'll not get political party funding because it is based on the number of votes and the seats that you get.
Right.
So basically, it is killing all parties. We want democracy. We want a system whereby tunaambia watu tukutane kwa debe. This preferential treatment, this way some people think they're more important than others, is the main problem, and I can see it continuing. I know another party that has written to Azimio about the same issue.
Governor, let me cut you short because you are on record for several years saying that you'd run for presidency. Then eventually you decided that you're going to support Raila Odinga, and you said he's the best solution out of the challenges Kenya faces at the moment. Then you told Kenyans that you're having difficulties. You were called. You had a meeting with Raila Odinga. You said you're actually ready to be the running mate of Raila Odinga. Now you have moved on. You're teaming up with Kenya Kwanza, and you're saying that politics is about interests. Can Kenyans really trust you?
Yes, they can. I mean, Kalonzo Musyoka was running for president. Why aren't people asking why Kenya cannot trust him? Because now he's also asking to be deputy. He's saying that he's not deputy, he revolts. So all he wants is to be deputy, in other words. Why aren't you asking the same questions to him? Why
no, I'm asking you because you're here. We are talking about you, Dr. Alfred Mutua.
Yeah, but I'm also saying let's not be myopic and narrow-minded when also we look at perspective, that it is okay for one person, not okay for another person. It is, I stepped down from running for president. I said, can you do it next time? Okay? We raised our complaints at a press conference. We met President
Sorry, Governor, we appear to be losing Governor Alfred Mutua there, but of course we tried to get him back on the line. But Fred Okango, I hope you're still on the line. And the question which I would want to conclude with you of what is going on within Azimio la Umoja movement with all the interviews that are going on. Do you now know if Kalonzo Musyoka will be appearing or not?
Thank you, Sam. Maybe just a quick response on what Governor Mutua is saying that is not true. The agreement that we have under Azimio la Umoja One Kenya has a provision for enforcement and sanction for breach of the agreement. And in such, there must be what is called legally binding and enforceable agreement. And these parties signed to that they will, they shall be mutual and at most good faith to uphold and defend that agreement. It means, therefore, just like I said, he was never in. He was one leg in, one leg out, because he was looking for position. And that is the truth. That was coming out. But we wish him the best. Number two, I wouldn't want to speak for His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka. But having been in Oka and having worked with him and having known him and having been endorsed by our party to go for, the position of running, and you saw our chairman, Senator Gideon Moi, wrote a letter again and said he's sealing his nomination, and on that matter, the party proposes that Kalonzo Musyoka is one of the most suitable, competent leaders that can be as running it. I think that the eminent person should find Mr. Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka as one of the leaders that would for sure deliver votes for Raila Odinga and also help this country once we win as Azimio la Umoja One Kenya. So it is his decision, the decision of his team, the decision of his advisor, if he will be appearing before the eminent persons. And maybe my good friend Honorable Mbui can tell us, but as far as I know, I was with Kalonzo Musyoka in Mombasa, then we went with him again in Wotek, because as a Kanu we work together and try to help our cause in this Azimio. I am confident that most likely this morning he might rethink and make the best move, and that decision we leave it to him.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Fred, for that, and of course for joining us this morning to have those conversations. Of course, the KANU party leader, or party chairman, that is Gideon Moi, has already written to the panel saying that he is not intending to appear for consideration for a running mate of Raila Odinga. Instead, he is putting his weight behind Kalonzo Musyoka. Thank you for that, Fred. And Governor Alfred Mutua is back, and you were concluding your answer on whether Kenyans can trust you or not, but I would also want to hear from you, because the agreement that was filed with the registrar, of what you've seen as the agreement of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance, it indicates that you cannot leave within 6 months to the election or 3 months after the election, but also provides a route to resolving disputes. Did you attempt to resolve this, or for you the deal was made? I mean, the deal was broken from the onset?
Two things. One is that I think, sorry, we got disconnected. I'm on the road. Number one, you're asking me whether I can be trusted. And I was saying that, Musalia Mudavadi, he was with Azimio, with Raila. He said he's running for president. He stepped aside, then he moved to Kenya Kwanza. Can Kenyans trust him? Yes, they can. Kalonzo Musyoka the same. Myself. Just because you shift positions at this time, because everything is dynamic, does not mean that you have changed your principles. It means that you are organizing yourself for better times, and especially for your people. So one of the things I'd like to say is that you've noticed that since yesterday, once I moved away from Azimio, Kenya Kwanza, they have insulted me, they have propaganda, they have said all manner of things, because I have an impact. If I did not have an impact, they would not be talking about me. Wange brush tu alafu wasiongee juu yangu. They have discussed me, they have talked about me, they had press conferences about me, they said we have done this, because we have an impact and people follow us. The same people who are saying have no impact, who are saying that last time I would lose the election, that I would have no impact, that watanasa mimi. I nassered them. I'm still the governor of Machakos. I won overwhelmingly in Machakos. So they need to stop this arrogance of thinking that they're the only ones who control the public. And it is that form of arrogance that is seeing Azimio go down the drain in terms of the way they're dealing with people. This arrogance thinking ni how viongozi wengine have zero impact. Wataona. Kura iko kwa mwananchi. Wedharau kiongozi. The women who voted for me in Machakos, the people who support me in Kitui, they have no impact. The men and women, the young people who support me all over this country, in Kisii, in Nyamira, in Nyanza, in Mombasa, in Kilifi, they have no impact. In Mount Kenya. Still with that arrogance, and it is that arrogance of thinking others don't matter, maybe the problem. Now, your last question about this issue of the document. It was very good. My Mheshimiwa Fukadiani is there. Can you ask him to tell us what clause number 6B says of that document? He cannot tell you, because even WIPA do not have a copy of that document today. I'm aware. And I even hear they are contemplating going to court to force Azimio to give them the document. They don't have the document. Why is the document being hidden? I ask every right-thinking Kenyan, why is a document being hidden unless iko na ukora ndani yake? And that is one of the reasons we are moving. We are not going to be stupid getting ourselves encapsulated in something that has been changed, because we know we are being fixed. The rule about the 6 months, finally, it says this, and it's very clear. The Constitution first says that you cannot be in a relationship that you don't want to be, an association. So they cannot keep us there even legally. Talk to any senior lawyer, they will tell you that. So we can walk out any time, because it doesn't matter. All these are small items compared to what the Constitution is holding. They are minor. They are not small, but they are minor compared to the Constitution.
So
Number two,
yes.
we signed that document within 6 months. It was, I think, 4 months or 3.5 months to the election. So the period of 6 months had already been passed. So legally, they will tell you, if you sign a document that says you cannot live within 6 months, you should have signed that document a year before the 6 month period, or 9 months or 7 months. But if you sign it within the 6 months, then it cannot hold any bearing at all.
All right, so Governor, I hear you.
Lastly, a court order was obtained by PAR that set aside that Gazette notice 2 days ago. So that has been set aside. So it has no effect on us. That Gazette notice has been set aside. That was gazetted about parties being in Azimio. So I am free to move to any other coalition. It's as simple as that. So legally, all the way, we're on the right channel.
Well, I hear you, and I want to bring in the panelists here in studio, but I also want to hear from you. How different is the treatment in Kenya Kwanza, and what are you getting there for your party, but also for yourself in the discussions you've had?
When you talk to Azimio, they said, we're ngojea tukishinda chama yako tutaitafutia kitu. Tutaangalia how to share government. Tukishinda. Tutaangalia at that time. We are saying, okay, don't you think it's good to know what are we fighting for? In Kenya Kwanza, it is very clear what share of government we are getting.
Which
is
is
very clear how many cabinet positions we are getting, how many ambassador positions we are getting, how many permanent secretaries we are getting. It is very clear.
How many?
We have given a list to Kenya Kwanza of the development projects that we Maendeleo Chap would like to see within the first 1 year of Kenya Kwanza government. We have talked about the Okea Emali Road. We've talked about the finishing of the Twake Dam. We've talked about the project of revival of factories.
Dr. Mutua, just hold on. Dr. Mutua, please.
All I'm saying is that we have very specific documents with an annexure that lists what are the benefits of Maendeleo Chap by joining Kenya Kwanza.
And therefore the question...
It is not being left out there and all that. It will be a public document very soon. You'll be able to go through the list.
Governor Mutua,
and see everything that has been listed.
Just listen to the question I'm asking, because you've said that it's very clear on what you're getting. So how many CSAs, ambassadors or PSAs will you get in Kenya Kwanza?
It is an annex and we'll be able to publish it. I don't want to go into numbers right now, then you start quoting, because every coalition has its own deal. I don't want others to think, oh, Mutua got more, got less than us. Every coalition has had its own deal within Kenya Kwanza, according to the impact that you have on the ground. So all I can say is that
you confuse me.
I am very confident that with the victory, we know what you are getting. My people of Maendeleo Chap from around the country will know that they
Governor, just hold on.
We are sharing government.
You confuse me, and I would plead for clarity here, because you're saying that you don't want to spill the details so that other partner parties in Kenya Kwanza do not feel like they got a better deal. So who are you signing the deal with? I thought it's a coalition of political parties. A deal with
who? It's a coalition, yeah, but you see, every coalition of coalition parties, you sit together as a coalition and you make your argument as a coalition.
With who?
And you get a deal, then others are coming in. Well, with the principles. We've got the principles, then you come in as a principal. I'm not a principal. So other people will be negotiating with us. That is with William Ruto, with Musalia Mudavadi, with Wetangula, with Muturi and other party leaders. So you join, you become a principal.
And therefore, if that's the case, then it doesn't hurt anyone to tell us how many CSAs Maendeleo Chap will get.
But that is our business. You wait until the document is published and you can say it. Msikwe Naraka, I was a government spokesman. I know when to say things, when not to say things. I know when to reveal information, when not to reveal information. Everything is about timing. We are not hiding anything.
Okay.
It's all about timing and misunderstanding. So don't push me to reveal my party matters. Let my party give me permission first.
Okay.
I know when to say things.
Okay, all right. Please don't go away. Herman Manyora, what do you make of this?
The tragedy of this country.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
Dr. Mutua, I'm saying don't go away. Just listen to what Herman Manyora has to say about this.
The tragedy of this country is that we elevate people like Mutua to serious national positions. And when you hear him speak, you sympathize with this country. I mean, what is Mutua telling us, actually? You know, maybe there's something wrong with my hearing, but I think what I'm hearing is crazy, really. This can't be.
What is your discomfort?
What is he telling us now? What exactly is he talking about? You know, this is. You know, unfortunately, in this country, many of these leaders are overrated. Honestly, even a primary school kid listening to Mutua speak, they would be surprised what he's saying. You know, first of all, Cherargei must be very worried, because Cherargei and his team have campaigned, and my friend Yambu will confirm that, and he will confirm. You also know. They have campaigned on a platform of working for the people. Not about positions. Not about vyeo ni vya kina Raila na wenzake. We are working in a coalition with people and for the people. We are not talking about position. Now here is somebody parading the goodies he has negotiated for. And that he has done so in some corner with Ruto. You know, honestly, I sympathize with Ruto. Ruto was doing very well. But now that he has invited all and sundry, some law of science will begin to apply. That you gain, you bring in people and you expel others. That's number one. Number two, which is something Cherargei must take for discussion this morning with his team. You know, your main shareholder that gave you really that feeling of being strong, and really even the substance of being strong, was Mount Kenya region. And why was Mount Kenya so firmly with Ruto? Because they knew they were the major shareholder, that without them there will be no UDA government. If they went into that government, and for some reason Ruto tried to shortchange them, they would just have to press one button of their numbers and the government would collapse. Now, when you bring in all these people, you are making Mount Kenya people have second thoughts. Allah, this now is becoming a crowded place. You see what I'm saying? So those are some of the unintended consequences that they are opening up Mount Kenya for Uhuru and Raila to penetrate. Because now they are feeling they are really not the people they thought they were within that coalition. Now this is a crowded marriage, you know. Somebody called, some lady talked about the husband being a community husband. So now, this is a crowded marriage. And the people of Mount Kenya, I suspect, are most likely going to begin thinking how they can leave this relationship and go in a place where they will be felt.
Can you keep it at the level of political parties? Let's leave outside husbands and wives out of this. Senator Cherargei, so what are these details? Because Governor Mutua there declines to reveal what the agreement was, but says they have been assured of certain positions for CS, ambassadors, PSs, and so many other projects that will need to be focused on. What has been the criteria of assigning what each member party will get, if at all that is the position that Kenya Kwanza has taken?
Sam, you know, politics is about interests. The fact that Kenya Kwanza wants to work for the people is that there must be government in place. And that government must reflect the face of Kenya. Therefore, discussing regions in isolation is not good for this country. Every Kenyan has a right to be part and parcel of a government that will give the face. On the nitty-gritties of arrangement and negotiations, of course, there is a level that they engage as principals, as you have heard Governor Mutua said, as party leaders. And these are the issues at the end of the day that in as much, you know, at the end of the day when the government will be formed of Kenya Kwanza, it will not be about Mount Kenya and maybe my region where I come from. It is about the Kenya. The cabinet secretaries that you will appoint will even come from Vihiga, where my brother Haman comes from.
And it should be me, I think.
Yeah. But you are in Azimio.
No, I'm not.
Officially.
I'm not.
So, of course, that is good. So, it means when you are forming the government, and we agree even with Mbui, any side that will form government, you will have to appoint Kenyans from all over the country.
So, is it true there are promises? Because
even Azimio,
you say about...
Of course, there are promises. I'm coming there. I'm building my argument.
Okay.
Is that, of course, when people sit, the party leaders sit, they must agree that, God willing, if they form the government, What is in there for them? In any coalition agreement, even in established democracies, even you saw Germany, what was happening in Germany the other day, any other country that even form pre or post coalition agreements. So what we are saying, in as much as we want to work for the people, you must have a government in place. You can't say you don't want to work for the people if you do not have a government where all cabinet ministers or all the government reflects the national aspect. And the sad reality about this republic is that, unfortunately, democracy or this multipartyism has created more of parties that are either regional, and by the way, one of the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta is has ensured that they at least, if not tribal, there are regional parties across the country. So it is a sad reality that when you go to Ukambani, as Aman has said, for example, you must, Kalonzo Musyoka, you must go through Kalonzo Musyoka. When you go to Region X, Region Y, those are the areas you must go, and that is why even Uhuru, in as much as he's the President of the Republic of Kenya, he thinks that anybody who wants Mount Kenya must go through President Uhuru Kenyatta. So when you look, that is the sad reality we have as a country. There is no day, and I've had Aman, I have been following a discussion of Aman's in different fora, and he has always insisted that when you look at the country, the sad reality is that there will always be kingpins that you must go through. And what Kenya Kwanza is trying to do is to talk. You know, you can engage, for example, finally, so that I finish my thought, is that you can engage a region without engaging some stakeholders. And that is why Aman and his brother, the big brother, Raila Odinga, had you to go through what you call Mount Kenya Foundation. Because in their own thinking, they believe if they go through Mount Kenya Foundation, they might access the vote of Mount Kenya. As we are saying, let us engage the people direct and the leaders. Hopefully, we'll get the votes of Mount Kenya region. So that is the dynamics that we have as a country.
You know, you confuse me because you're saying that you cannot say that certain regions you have to go through a certain leader, but now you're telling me that to engage regions, you have to engage the people and their leaders. I mean,
that is why I'm just using, for example, of various regions. From where Mbui comes from, since he's a wiper, he believes that to get Ukambani vote, you must have Kalonzo Musyoka. And that is why we are saying it depends on how you want to do your policy. But I'm just saying the sad reality as a country is that the real reality is that some of the politics that you want to do is you must go through certain leaders because they have a stakeholder.
Senator, tell me if you have, excuse me, if you have an answer, because there are only 22 slots for cabinet secretaries allowed by the law.
Yes.
You have about 10 or so parties within Kenya Kwanza. You might get more if more defections and signings continue. So how are you distributing the cabinet secretary seats to these parties?
You know, I answered your question from my opening remarks by saying, when I was answering, is that one, you need to appreciate that I had said that any government that will be formed, hopefully Kenya Kwanza, it will not be about the regions who gave the highest number of votes that will be appointed cabinet secretaries. The constitution is very clear. We will appoint Kenyans from all over the country, even from Northeastern, from Nyanza, from any other region. Because you can't form a government of 2 or 3 communities. You must form a government of entire. And that is why it is not even it is not about the 22 cabinet secretaries. The government has many departments, parastatals, speakers from the National Assembly, speakers of the Senate, ambassadors. The government is big.
But
and therefore,
that now will be distributed through the political parties?
Of course, any coalition agreement will be distributed based on political parties that have joined Kenya Kwanza. And by the way, I want to allay fears because I know Aman, of course, you had, I am happy you assisted him from taking that route. He was taking a very precarious route by discussing about Mount Kenya. You know, these people are trying to get Mount Kenya by all means. Because Mount Kenya, just like Western Kenya, Ukambani, they are part of Kenya. You cannot say, since Ukambani has more votes, it should be discussed in isolation as opposed to Luo Nyanza, and I thank that you did deter my brother Haman from taking that dangerous
all right,
because what they are trying to do is just to antagonize and incite Mount Kenya against Kenya Kwanza. But I want to assure you, if the interest of everybody will be catered on the national cake,
okay, from
Vihiga, where he comes from, to Nandi, where I come from, to Katiani, where he comes from, to everywhere across the country, to Mombasa, then what is, if your interests are gathered for in a government, what other business do you have?
Okay, I hear you. I want us to